Great. So tonight's workshop is liver enhancement diet. So we're going to present a new format today. Rather than take the half hour and go over the diet, what I want to do is explain to you why it is so important to enhance the function of the liver. Because I find if you understand the why behind something, you're more likely to really commit and start really working towards those aspects and towards those goals. But when we don't understand why we're doing something, we tend not to be wholeheartedly into what it is that we're trying to do. So tonight, we're going to be talking about liver enhancement diet, but more so why liver enhancement diet. And I know you've seen this in workshops previously. Now we get a side view of a brain, right? Brain, what's below the brain supporting it?
Spine.
Spine. I promise I won't draw all the segments. And then from the spine we have coming out of it what? Spinal cord, right? And then out of that comes nerves. And the nerves, we're going to use a red one for this one because we'll use a heart this week. It's heart month. The nerves are going to go to organs, okay? And so as the nerve comes down and goes into the organ also then will send a nerve back to the heart. Just that way. So for instance, we look behind us and there's a bear. And the brain says, run. And so the brain sends signals to the heart, beat faster, there's a bear behind us, run. The heart sends signals back up to the brain, I'm beating faster, we got to get away from this bear, right? So that's what's going on. But there's more to it. Okay, we also have something, this is sunburn here, we also have skin. And on the surface of the skin we have all these points, acupuncture points, right? And they're going to emit energy. Well, how it works with the organ will also work its way to that energy point on the surface of the skin. And then from the skin, that energy point will then also work its way back to the heart. And so, as we learned from a previous workshop last week with endocrine disruptors, if there's a disconnect somewhere along this line, when we go and we check this point on the surface of the skin, is it going to be working? Are we going to find energy there? No, we're going to find a weakness. So when I muscle test and we find strong, strong, boom, weak, we know we have a disconnect somewhere along that line. Well, if we throw in here your liver, okay, we know the liver does over 500 functions. It's estimated that the liver does over 1,400 functions in the body. We just haven't discovered it yet, okay? And so if we look at this and add the liver in there, the liver is the body's what? Filter. The liver filters everything in the body. It does a whole lot more than that as well. It helps with calcium control, it helps with sugar regulation, it's going to help with hormonal regulation, and so it does all these things. But we have to make sure, same thing as we come down off the spine, we have to make sure the innervation from the liver to the body is functioning as well. And so if we always ignore the liver, what did we just have? Super Bowl Sunday? Right? Who here ate foods that weren't good for you? Yeah. So on Super Bowl Sunday, as we're polluting our livers, we need to understand that it's so important to make sure that we always go back and enhance the function of the liver, hence liver enhancement diet. So believe it or not, everybody here spent about 20 minutes of your life as one cell. It's during conception. That one cell split into two to 4, 4 to 8 to 16, and so on. Anyway, through the course of your lifetime, you developed into this body that has for center of support a spine, right? Right here, as I tried to draw. And then at the base, at the top of the spine is the skull that holds your brain, right? Brain sends all the messages down the spinal cord, which is inside, out these nerves to all over the body. Each nerve that comes out of the spine goes to three things. It goes to muscles, it goes to organs, and your immune system. And so while it's doing that, we're functioning great, right? Nice loop going. But when we stop this loop, all of a sudden now we're stopping energy flow to that organ. And we can send too much energy or too little energy to it. And what happens is that organ can't work correctly. Well, the liver is very, very susceptible to it. Remember all the functions that it does. And if we take two of these bones and we misalign them and put a little pressure on that nerve, now we have total dysfunction. And what causes that misalignment of your spine is stress. Anybody ever experienced stress? A few people? Yeah, and stress, right, comes in a few different forms. There's physical stress. Anybody have that yesterday shoveling? Mental stress. Anybody have that yesterday shoveling? When's the snow going to be gone? Right? Chemical stress or environmental stress, right? The things that we're breathing in. And I like to add one more. I call it thermal stress. Too hot, too cold. Anybody too cold shoveling? Right, see? So we got to cover the whole gamut yesterday. And so that stress is going to affect the function of the spine. It's going to shut off energy pathways to your organs, and then your organs won't work correctly. We'll notice this dysfunction in our bodies. Oh, I have pain for liver, right? I have pain in my right shoulder or right arm. Or maybe I'm getting headaches, or maybe not sleeping well. So we're starting to notice liver dysfunction here. And as the liver becomes dysfunctional, what do? Oh, let me just stretch this out. I'll take a hot shower. I'll take some ibuprofen. Yeah, that's really good for a dysfunctional liver, right? And so we start to do these things because we get symptoms, and we've been taught our whole lives how to take care of these symptoms. But the problem is we've been taught wrong. Symptoms are not like, the dashboard light comes on in your car that says, check engine. You just take a piece of tape and cover that up, a little duct tape and cover it up. That's what you do to your body when you ignore the symptoms. And what happens, unfortunately, is our bodies then can deteriorate further and further. And it's like, I can kind of equate that to being like a little kid. You ignore a little kid, like, dad, 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 and you ignore them, what happens? They don't go away. They get louder. Dad, dad, dad. Next thing you know, they're in the other room, things are crashing and banging. Why? Well, it's not that the child wants to be bad, but they realize the only way to get your attention is to do something that's really going to disrupt your world. Your body does the same thing. We ignore these little signs and symptoms that it's giving us all along. And with the liver, gosh, we get headaches, we get skin issues, we get itchy spots, hives, all these things that go on with the liver, we ignore it. And then we all of a sudden, we get upset because the phone rings, right? The phone rings. Oh, excuse me, 1 second, it's my body. What? What? I'm about to have a heart attack? We don't get those warnings, but we do. And so that's why it's so, so, so important to make sure that we enhance the function of our body, particularly with tonight's class, liver, so that we can clean the body out and get it working the way that it should. Now, normally I go over a 10-page process of what we're supposed to do, but I'm going to keep it simple tonight, and you'll all get one of these. Liver Enhancement Diet Guidelines. The diet is to improve the function of your liver. Anybody here want to improve liver function? Good. Everybody's hands up and their heads are nodding. You're with me. Your liver is responsible for over 500 processes, so follow this closely. As your conditions improve, various foods may be added back into your diet. The objective is to return to a more comprehensive diet as soon as it will allow. But here's the thing. If we remove stuff from your diet for 2 weeks, and you feel wonderful at the end of the 2 weeks, why would you want to put stuff back into your diet that made you sick in the first place? Right? Crazy. Oh, but I miss my pizza. Yeah, but do you miss your migraines every morning? Well, no. So it's little things like that. The biggest culprit for liver, is the wheat that is in our food system. The next thing, and it's a hair that you're measuring this by, is the hydrogenated oils. Right? So those are the